Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to this Zeald webinar. It's actually the 16th, if you believe it or not, in our Keep Calm and Get Digital series. My name is Jara, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. So we're now into level 2, and we're well in there, and it is really refreshing to be able to get out and see people again with the appropriate distancing, of course. Now, with all businesses able to operate now in some capacity, it's important that we ensure we communicate with our customers and let them know how we're operating. Email marketing is critical for this. And so we hope today's session will give you some valuable insight how to get started with this really powerful tool. In fact, the most successful businesses I work with online have this as one of their cornerstone initiatives. We have a fantastic speaker today, Zeald digital business strategist Kim. She's based in Auckland and has worked directly with many businesses, helping them adapt through this crisis. It is an absolute pleasure to have you with us today, Kim. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We will be recording this webinar, so if you miss out on it, we will have it available on our YouTube channel later on today. If at any point you feel like you've got some questions you'd like answering, please post these through the Q&A module that we have. I'm just highlighting that now, that button, and we'll try and answer those as we move through the webinar. However, if it's not appropriate to interrupt Kim at any point, I will hold those and answer them at our Q&A section at the end. So we will have that towards the end of the session as well, and we hope you participate so that we can really dive into this topic a little bit further. All right, if you can't hear me, right, and so if that's this question here, what if I can't hear anything? Then there are the audio settings that you can see here. Adjust those, and that should help sort things out for you. I see a few familiar faces today. Welcome back to those that have attended before. I'm sure you'll have no problems hearing us today. So right now, I'd like to welcome Kim to the stage, so to speak, and if you'd like to maybe share your presentation as well, and we can get started. We're really looking forward to seeing what you have for us today. If you're there, Kim. Hi. Cool. Got your screen? Just need your audio and video.
There we go.
Awesome.
Hello,
cool. Welcome.
Thanks for the lovely introduction, Jara. And hi, everyone. Welcome to Email Marketing 101. Email is a tool that many marketers consider one of their most effective marketing channels. And the goal of email marketing is to establish and nurture a relationship with your customers and your potential customers. So let's get started. So today we're going to be covering some advantages of email marketing tools, and some considerations when you're choosing a provider, email database building, and key elements of an email strategy. We'll overview a few different types of the most common types of emails, and we'll touch on autoresponders and how they can save you time, and key emails you may want to think about sending, and some best practice tips. So, email marketing. I've talked to many businesses over the years, and it never ceases to amaze me how many of them have email lists, and some of them quite significant, but they never have used them, or they don't use them because maybe they have a good social media following, or they started then stopped for one reason or another. So just really want to make the point. The people who have signed up to receive emails from you are already engaged with your business, and perhaps they've even made a purchase from you already. We all know that it's easier to sell to customers and people who already know and trust your business than finding and converting new customers. So let's take a look at some of the advantages. Email is topical and personal. Studies show that 72% of people prefer to receive promotions via email versus social media at only 17%. And according to HubSpot, 99% of people check their emails every single day. So not everybody even checks their social media every day. Also, it provides a direct communication. I mean, let's imagine you lost all your social media followers, or your preferred social media channel decided to keep hiking its rates, and it just became to a point where you can no longer afford them. Scary, I know. But relying on social media is like building a castle on someone else's land to some extent. They can raise their prices. But when you build your own email marketing list, it is yours. And your list gives you access to your own private community that you have control of and direct communication with. So another advantage is it's accessible. As we'll see a bit later, there are email marketing tools out there to suit every budget. And it's very inexpensive to run email campaigns when compared to expensive social media advertising. It's measurable, opens, clicks, bounces, shares to friends, shares to social media. It allows you to see how your emails are performing so you can make improvements for future campaigns. And it complements all your other marketing. So whether directing people to your website or to amplify other marketing, including social, it can be very useful to drive traffic in store, for example. So just moving on, first we've got a tip. So we were just talking about this, obviously, because email allows you that direct communication with your audience, use it to amplify all your other marketing efforts. So let's get into some email marketing tools. So we're going to be looking at the tools themselves, but let's take a look at some considerations out of the many options. So when you're determining a tool to use based on your needs and budget, the size of the list counts to some extent. Many tools are priced on the size of your email list. So if you need to just find that tool that fits your budget, that can handle your list. And if you're just starting out, this might not be as relevant, but you really need to make sure you've got a tool that has email capture capabilities. You want to make sure that you can easily add a way for people to subscribe to your email newsletter through your website. And automation, this becomes more important as your list grows, but it can add a more personal feel to your email marketing. For example, being able to automatically send different emails to different people based on their purchasing stage. So for example, you might want one version of an email going out to people that have already purchased from you. You want to acknowledge the purchase and basically maybe recommend other purchases based on their past purchasing behavior, as opposed to a brand new customer who's never purchased from you. You're going to want to entice them to buy from you. So
So one thing, Kim, probably, but
yeah.
some of those automation tools are incredibly powerful, right? And some people like to configure an abandoned cart email is quite a good one. If you know someone's email address and they've put something into a cart and then left it, you can also email them just reminding them that that's still waiting for them. That's quite a powerful one too. So there's also, once you've got people's details and you can start to craft some automation like that, there's some amazing things you can do.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, and I just love it that you can set up these series of emails too and engage with your customers based on the stage they're at in that purchasing cycle. So yeah, there's some really cool things you can do there.
Yeah, those sequences as well are really powerful too. Like I was talking with someone the other day, and they've crafted this amazing process that's offline. So someone buys a product, they come in, there's this whole onboarding process, and then they get in touch with them a little while later, and they make sure they service that piece of machinery they bought, and they've got this whole thing mapped out, but it was all physical. Right, and so they've had to kind of retool the whole thing, and so now they're looking to have these sequence of emails that kind of provides that same feeling of care and so on, and the same sort of information being passed on, but they're digitizing it through this sequence automation, which is it's just I find it really fascinating area to look into.
Agree. So audience segmentation, though, is another way to send out those various messages. And most basic tools come with some form of audience segmentation, so you can tailor different messaging to different groups. So if you're just starting out, audience segmentation could be enough to start with. And ease of use as well. You'll want a tool that won't take a lot of time to learn how to use, so that you can just focus on your initial email plan and the type of content that you want to send out. And many providers provide trials and demos, so you might want to give them a go before you select one.
Yeah. And that ease of use piece is also part of that integration too. So if it's nice and easy to integrate, then you can have your website capturing email addresses and putting them into segmented databases, all without you having to do anything. So yeah, there's just make sure you're absolutely right. If we can get the audience segmentation and ease of use right, those things all tend to work together as well.
Absolutely. And you're also going to want a provider that offers some form of email template option, because emails are coded in HTML. So it's not likely that most of us won't be able to whip up an HTML email. So it's important to have a provider that offers some options there. And also, you may have a small list now, But in the future, as your list grows, you'll want to consider the different pricing plans and make sure when your list grows that you're not, going to be stuck into a plan that it's going to become too expensive to send out emails in the future. And also, it's a no-brainer. It's obvious that you really do need some good analytics. So you know how many people are opening your emails, where they're going to when they click on the different links in your email, and that just gives you some insight to improve your further campaigns, your future campaigns rather. And then also, you want to be able to do some A/B testing with a couple different kinds of emails. You basically can send out 2 very different emails to the same target and see which one performs the best, and that can be the one used for your main send.
Sorry, could you just elaborate on that a bit, Kim? So if you were to, you'd send out 2 emails, how much do you have to have much of a difference between the 2, or what?
You could have very little difference, and you might see a big difference in your click-through rates on your actual email. But like even A/B testing is great going beyond that with subject lines.
All right. Okay.
I mean, subject lines, the little preview you get in your email, whatever internet service provider you use, you've got the little preview. And it's amazing if you front load your offer or subject and just tweak it a bit and just try a couple different subject lines. You can be surprised on how much difference that makes. But the same holds true for your actual content as well. You can trial 2 really different emails or something just slightly different and just see what people are responding to more.
So it's good practice kind of just doing maybe a couple, like testing a smaller section of your database with just a couple of variations and then working out which one's best, then going for the whole lot. Is that the?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe just create a couple little sub-lists or groups and do some testing on those, and then use the winner for your main send. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
And also just deliverability. You're going to want to make sure that whichever provider you choose has a good deliverability rate, but also you yourself can help with that by making sure you've got a clean email database. If you've got, a lot of hard bounces or soft bounces, even that's people that haven't been able to receive your email, or a lot of stagnant emails, people that haven't opened your email for a long period of time. That's just going to dilute your open rate, your statistics going forward, and also, deliverability as well. The bounce rate will affect the deliverability of that because your ISP is going to be trying to deliver to people and it's not getting through. So yeah, there's things that you can do there as well. So shall we move on to the email tools themselves? Here we go. So HubSpot is one of the first ones. There's so many out there. It's a saturated market. I should just make the point that shop around, look around, because these are only a few. But HubSpot is known as one of the market leaders or the industry leaders and integrates well with most websites and social media. They offer a lot of functionality, analytics, A/B testing, scoring, and automation on some of their higher plans. So if you are looking for a long-term solution and you have the budget, then it may be worth considering. Email does not come as part of their free plan. So yeah, you just have to consider the cost there. But they do have a handy slider tool on their website that lets you look at how the pricing changes as the volume of emails you send increases. So yeah, that might be a consideration. Aweber, it's been around for ages. They're particularly good for their lead generation. That's getting people to sign up for your newsletter on your website. And they have some good email templates, and it integrates well with WordPress if you're on WordPress. Constant Contact is another industry leader and pretty much offers what you expect from a good email marketing platform. And it's been around for a long time, so it's not going anywhere. And Active Campaign is similar to HubSpot in terms of features, and it integrates well, again, with a lot of different platforms. And it also allows you some really good automation, a cost-effective automation on a couple of their higher plans. And then, of course, we can't forget MailChimp, another
How
industry
could you forget
leader.
MailChimp?
No, you can't forget MailChimp. One of the most popular platforms, and I think the biggest benefit here is the ease of use, which makes it really great for smaller businesses to get started. And they do offer some free templates and some integrations, such as Google remarketing and social media. And it integrates pretty much with, all platforms. So the free plan as well, it basically, this is the best part, it gives you the ability to send up to 2,500 contacts, free emails per month. So if you're just starting out or you're unsure about what your ROI is going to be on this, it might be a good starting point, but you will have to, upgrade to another plan if you're planning on sending out like weekly or fortnightly emails. And then, of course, you have Zest and Gem, which has an integrated email marketing add-on that's easy to use straight from your CMS. So I guess the key thing is you're not switching from one platform to the other and having to download and upload, your database. And it has several features like analytics and scalability, and comes with Zeald support. So those are some top tools. So just another tip is really just to determine really your needs right now and how much you want to spend before choosing a solution. And don't be tempted by all those bells and whistles, because they all sound great, but they're going to take some time to learn and execute. So it might be better to start with a simpler, lower cost plan while you get your list growing. And as it grows, you can always move to another platform or another system. So let's get into email database building. So list building starts with an offer or something of value in exchange for your potential customers' details, their email address. So, an offer or a promo code or a monthly incentive are an obvious choice for retail, but maybe not so much for business to business businesses, where something like a free download, such as a best practice guide, might be a better choice. Or you could offer a tutorial or a webinar email series and send a link in an email where potential customers can register or sign up to attend. And finally, tips and tricks. They can work well for both B2C retail and business to business. So you can stay top of mind with your subscribers, and you can become an expert in your field, gaining that trust and credibility. So when it comes time for them to make a purchase, you'll be top of mind.
I really like what you put there about it being an exchange. That's a really important point in this. If you want someone to give you their email address so you can build a database, you have to give them something in return. And so often see this little sign up box that says join my mailing list, which is great. At least you're asking. But if you don't have something in it for that person, it's not as likely to happen. And so always think about that exchange piece as just critical to that database building. So just wanted to say well done on that point. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, just to reiterate that.
Oh, cool. Sorry.
A good offer. Yeah. No, it is so important. It's well worth repeating a couple times, because all good email marketing starts with an offer. And this isn't only for list building. It's for pretty much your whole email, campaigns. You need to, and it doesn't always have to be an offer like a monetary value offer or a promotional offer, but just make sure it provides some sort of value for the customer. So I mean, even, lawyers and things like that, they might do some content marketing, and they're providing value with knowledge for their, their potential customers. So yeah, just know your target and start with a relevant offer.
Yeah, we end up doing a lot of ebooks for this sort of thing to get email addresses, and you might have seen that yourself. For people that are viewing today, you might have wanted to try and download a white paper or an ebook, and it's asking for your email address. That's a standard list building tactic, right? So
absolutely, it's a good one too. So let's just look at some elements of a successful email strategy. So obviously you need to understand your subscriber and start thinking about what types of emails you plan to send. Will they be mainly promotional, or will they be content based? And also the timing in which you send your emails is important, as well as how often you plan to send them. And of course, your subscriber is someone who's opted in to receive your emails. And this isn't just online, it can be at a trade show or in store as well. And they can be segmented, as well. And your email database is obviously made up of your subscribers, but these people can be segmented into categorized lists, groups, and subgroups, whether it's for testing or the bigger picture for marketing, where you're sending targeted messages. For example, you might want to send a different message to people who have purchased from you, those who have never purchased, or you might want to send emails based on the types of products they've purchased in the past. Just, serve up some recommendations. So that's really important. And then just to review, really, your open rate. A lot of you probably know what open rate is, but it's the percentage of people who open your email. And this is largely influenced by your subject line, amongst other factors. And your click-through rate. This is how many people actually click on the links within the content of your email. So don't forget your calls to action, and just think about your visuals, your copies, your links to your website, because they're going to improve your click-through rate. And also optimization. You want to ensure that your emails are going to look good across multiple devices, especially now that people open their emails on their phone more and more and more. So you just want to, most email marketing platforms will have a little tool or something to test how those emails are going to look on mobile and other devices, but there's also some online resources as well that you can use to do that. And personalization, it's really great if you can personalize your email campaigns. Just moving on from that, an email campaign can be made up of one email, or it can be multiple emails, such as we talked about earlier, an automation series where people get a series of emails. So another tip is test, and we've kind of covered this already, but again, subject lines influence the open rate and are often overlooked and added without much thought at all. So again, you could create a couple of small lists and send your email using different subject lines, just to see what the best performing subject line is, and use that for the rest of your send. No one's going to see your email if they don't open it, so if you do some testing, you might be surprised. So just an overview of some different types of emails. Promotional emails are, of course, different than lead nurturing emails, transactional emails, and announcement emails. So here are a few types, which don't need a huge amount of explanation. So you've got, your newsletter emails, which could be a combination of promotional and nurturing. And of course, your promotional emails and welcome emails, just a nurturing email welcoming people that have subscribed to your list. And this can be done by an autoresponder as well, which we'll touch on in a bit. And content emails, which are also nurturing type of emails that you just really want to keep people engaged with. So when it comes to the time when they need your product or service, you're top of mind. And of course, new product announcement emails. So again, promotional. And then there are some transactional emails that we also touched on. So you've got your abandoned cart emails and confirmation of order emails, and maybe progress emails, which tell people what stage their order is at.
Cool. Sometimes just a point on the content email. Sometimes it's best to focus almost on providing some value through the email that you send out, rather than sell. If you're trying to push product a lot in emails, you'll tend to get quite a high unsubscribe rate. And so actually thinking about content that's designed to add value and nurture and kind of have a bit of a conversation with your customers is actually a really good way to go. So it doesn't need to be complex. It can just be some great piece of advice that you've maybe got that you want to pass on. Those sort of content emails should be a big part of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Good point. So another tip, more testing. So again, we've kind of touched on this, but you just want to use the insights gained from your email marketing to fine tune your messaging. So again, we've touched on this. So just, do some A/B testing on your email content. by sending a couple of different versions and see which one performs better. So we mentioned autoresponders. So autoresponders are a basic form of automation available in most email marketing systems, and they just lessen your manual labor. So for instance, it could be a newsletter triggered from an email capture where someone signs up for your emails on your website. It could be a member welcome email, that you might have collected people's email at a trade show or you're in store at your retail store. So, these might be sent out in that way when they're entered. And competition entry emails, obviously, when somebody enters an email competition. So just another tip is personalization. So this, is across all emails and can include autoresponders. So basic email personalization includes the subscriber's name in the subject line and or the salutation of the email itself by using merge tags. And studies have shown that emails with personalized subject lines are 26% more likely to be opened than those without. And likewise, the personalization just adds to your email and gives it a personal touch. So let's look at some key emails you might want to consider sending. When starting out, it's often, good to keep it simple and focus on a few main types of emails. So you've got newsletter emails that could be about your company, special offers, promotional, and again, those content emails that, offer some value and information. And new product announcement emails is a great way of just keeping your products in front of people. But I guess the point here too is just remember your email list isn't made up of all the same types of people. So everyone on your email list isn't going to open, every single email. It's all about using insights on your past campaigns and fine-tuning to continue to engage with your audience. I mean, they might not need your product or service right now, but by doing this, it seems like a lot of effort, but when they come to need your product or service, then you're going to be top of mind. Oops, sorry, I meant to, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, folks.
It's trying to go backwards on you.
I am. So yeah, just another tip is to research your competition. So we've been talking a lot about the different types of emails, and I really wanted to include some examples, like some physical examples, but I know we've got people across all different businesses and industries here today. So my tip is to subscribe to receive emails from similar businesses in your industry to see what they're doing, not to copy them, but to see what resonates with you and maybe get a few ideas of what to do or not to do in your email campaigns.
That's a great tip.
There I go, going backwards again. So best practice. Obviously, you want overall to keep your list up to date, fresh and engaged, and maintain good practice. So what does that look like? So everyone on your list should have opted in to receive emails from your business, and all good tools will include this. But just another note, if you do collect emails in store or at trade shows or events, just make sure you get people's permission to add them to your database. It's just best practice.
Yeah, it's pretty important. It's part of the Electronic Mail Act, right? So yeah,
Right.
if you're going to be sending emails to people, you need to have gathered their consent. So yeah, just make sure you've got that.
Yeah, definitely. And also send yourself a few test emails before you make sure, before you send out, just to make sure that everything is working correctly. I mean, the worst thing is that you could send out an email with missing data or broken links and buttons, or, you might have images that don't load correctly. And also avoid spammy content and subject lines. Spam filters look for all uppercase letters, too many exclamation points, punctuation, emojis. Well, they're cute, but they do look
I
fun.
thought we were just being exciting by putting lots of exclamation marks, but
Yeah, but if there's too many of them, I think, you
yeah,
can use
you
them
probably,
within reason, but if
yeah,
there's too many of them or gimmicky words and phrases, such as free exclamation with emoji, that might, get sent straight to spam. So, yeah, and also try to keep your subject lines, precise and short and front load them and use no more than, say, 9 words, 60 characters, so they have a better chance of showing up in that preview pane. And also just keep a master list. This will help you keep all your lists up to date long term, and it's a good record of your entire database. And remove inactive subscribers. So this is a tricky one because it's so hard to remove a subscriber. But those people that haven't opened your emails for a long period of time, they are diluting your analytics. So you might want to consider doing that. We'll touch more on that later. And
oh,
also,
oh,
yeah.
sorry, I was going to say one little point just on subject line, and I remembered I saw a really good article a little while ago anyway, and it was that if you ask a question in the subject line, people subconsciously try and answer it, and you get a higher open rate and engagement just by asking people a question. It's quite a good little tip. So
That is a really good tip. Yeah, absolutely. And don't let your list go stale. If you have huge, long periods of time between sends, subscribers might forget your business or even that they subscribed, and they might mark them as spam or just unsubscribe. And also, it's proven that stale lists have a lower open rate. And you all also want to keep an eye on your bounces. So I think we covered this a little bit, but just, a soft bounce is where the email recipient's box is full, their email box is full, or it's unavailable for some reason. But hard bounces are usually from invalid email addresses. So it could be those that are entered incorrectly or there's some sort of error. So they really should be removed. And your email tool probably will do this for you after so many hard bounces.
that's good.
And also make sure that you have a clear unsubscribe link. And again, most email marketing tools will require this, but it's worth mentioning it because it is best practice. So just a final tip. We actually touched on this, your inactive subscribers. I mean, I know it's hard to remove subscribers, so maybe try sending them an email or two with an offer. Or you could just ask them outright, hey, we haven't heard from you a while. Do you still want to receive our emails? And if they remain unresponsive, then, maybe reconsider removing it from your list. And I think that's it. I think we're into questions.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much, Kim. That's awesome. So yes, we're going to open up to questions now. And so yeah, if you would like to ask a question, please send them through the question and answer little box there. We had a question that came through from JC just asking if she could have a copy of the presentation. We will have a recording of this that will be available afterwards. Oh, I see Rhonda's actually answered that. So there you go. Thank you, Rhonda. So yeah, please feel free to send some questions through that we can answer for you. But I did have a couple just for you, Kim. What's the best email format to use? If you're just getting started, what would you recommend?
Right. Well, I mean, imagery is lovely. A picture is worth 1,000 words and all that. But sometimes less is more. And sometimes just a plain informal email, written in
Okay.
just text, can often improve your open rate and just it's a little bit more personal. Of course, you're going to want to personalize it in that instance. But yeah, it can often improve open rates. If you've got a highly visual product, then just maybe some imagery with a little bit of text, and then yeah, just try to create that call to action to get them to visit your website.
That's awesome. I suppose it's like, if you think about the fact that you're sending emails a lot every day, if you can kind of do a plain text one that's very similar to what you'd send to a friend or something like that, people will start to respond to that. It's a real friendly kind of form of communication. So I think that can help. So really good point around plain text. How often is a good frequency to message people? I think this is a really big one, right? So like how often is good?
Yeah. Because it can be tempting to just keep, you're getting good response, and so you just keep pumping out those emails.
Yeah.
But there does come a time where it will lower your engagement levels. So I think like industry standards, I think there's some agreement around like fortnightly, like every
Mhm.
2 weeks, is a good frequency to start out with, which is acceptable for most types of businesses. And that's so that you're not just, burning out your email list and lowering your engagement rates.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's good. Yeah, that's something you have to be really careful, right? If you've worked really hard to build a database and then you burn it because you just get a little bit over eager, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
right. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. So we talked about a whole bunch of different email marketing systems there. I've got a couple that are my favorite. What are there some that you tend to recommend more often than others when talking with different clients?
Well, I guess it really depends on the user. So if you're just starting off, you really just want it to be as simple as possible. So really love MailChimp. They've got a lot of good features. They have some free email templates, and they have some really good integrations, and it's really easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
And even, Zest and Gem, our email platform, because it's part of your main dashboard, you're not having to swap between
Yep.
different platforms. So that again, if you're just starting out, can be a lot easier just to keep track of what you're doing. But obviously, the more automation and the more bells and whistles you want, there's some really good email marketing platforms out there. HubSpot is just amazing in what it can do. So, that just features, just all that automation that you were talking about earlier with the abandoned carts
Mhm.
and everything, which can be quite slick. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's just whatever's going to be easiest to get your list built in the first instance as well is what I tend to look at. So as you say, the Zest email marketing system with Gem, it's all tightly integrated, so you can get started building your database straight away. And MailChimp's another one that has lots of different systems that it can work in with. So if you're just starting out, those are great ones to start building your list. But if you get to the point where you're wanting to do some more segmentation and you're wanting to do some more sequencing and things like that, then you start to look at maybe some of the more advanced ones. Active Campaign's one that we've used quite a bit that I'm quite a fan of as well. The feature set for the price point's quite good. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they've been around for a while as well, which is always
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I got a question through from Lisa. How easy is it to repurpose my content I'm using on social media for email marketing? It's,
Well, I mean, that's a good question, really. So I guess if you've got content in your social media already, obviously that's going to be really quite simple to transfer over to an email template. So yeah, you could replicate that in email marketing. Um, you know, uh, I guess as well, with social, you can also just use email to amplify what you're doing on social.
mm-hmm,
So it doesn't have to be exact. You could
yeah,
actually just, amplify what you're doing on social media. And then you can, obviously, you've got all your share
mm-hmm,
buttons and so forth on your email itself. So you could amplify what you're doing on social media and then, try to encourage people to share that to their
yeah.
social media. So it can kind of work in a loop that way as
That's
well.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. It's actually got me thinking about just a slightly different point as well, which is, and I think you touched on this really nicely too, Kim, is that in a social environment, you're kind of building a lot of your user base and interaction and engagement with people on someone else's system. Right, and they can change the rules on you. So there is really a rule of thumb and best practice is to try and get people out of that social environment. You engage with them there, get them out of that environment and onto your website and engaged into a database for you. That way you've got direct contact with them and you have control over that. And so often your most valuable content could potentially be delivered through your email marketing, and you kind of promote that through social media so people have to sign up to get at it. That can be a really powerful approach because it helps you build some real robustness and to the business as well because you've then got that database, right?
Yep, yep, and
Yeah.
everything's working together. Yeah,
Yeah,
nicely.
yeah. So I got a question through from Natalie. I recently heard that a consumer needs to see your product, email, social media a minimum of 16 times before they remember you. Would you agree with this? That's an interesting point.
Well,
Yeah.
frequency across all advertising and marketing
Mhm.
platforms, frequency is a
Yep.
huge thing. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt that statistic at all.
Hmm.
Um, and 16 times sounds quite high.
Yep.
So maybe we've just become so diluted with so much
Yeah.
messaging messaging that nowadays we do have to see it. You know, I remember way back, it was, I think, 5 times you had to
Yeah,
hear a message or see a TV ad. But yeah, as the years have gone by, yeah, we're just bombarded with so much messaging now that I would agree
correct. Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. 16 sound, yeah, it sounds quite high, but I'd agree with it. I haven't seen the specific research. I like to call it the threshold of awareness, right? So someone can see something over and over again, but with all the other clutter going on, it's really hard for someone to really connect with that brand. And so there needs to be that level of repetition for it to break through and for them to become aware of it and then start engaging with it. And so that metric seems to be going up. The shorter people's attention span is, the more the contact points that are needed before you can actually get through to that like call that threshold of awareness. So I've got another question here. They're coming through thick and fast, which is awesome. Thank you, people. Should I be worried that people might unsubscribe from my emails? Oh, what a great question.
Well, I mean, you know, like with everything, you only have so much control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are unsubscribing, I guess, you know, you just need to find subscribers to replace it. And I guess that all comes down to all the other factors we're talking about with frequency and so forth. You can only do what you can do to maintain your list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so to a certain extent, I guess, yes, you should be concerned if you've got a lot of people unsubscribing, and maybe just review what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Review the frequency of your emails, and make sure that you're just not sending too many, and
Yep.
diluting it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing to note is it doesn't matter how good you are. When you send out an email, you're going to get some unsubscribes. It's going to happen no matter how good the content is. That's just the way it works, right? There'll be people that have moved on and don't necessarily need the message. So you probably need to be aware of it and monitor it, but I suppose don't be afraid of it, because it's good feedback as long as you're monitoring it. And if that number starts to go up, as you suggest, Kim, then maybe you need to review how you're engaging, the frequency, and what you're saying. But if you're confident you're delivering value and you're maybe getting a few unsubscribes each time, that's perfectly normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. So yeah, but great question, because that is the big fear. Like sometimes I've talked to some people and they've got a great list, and then they're just so afraid of potentially not of getting some unsubscribes that they're not using it. And so if you end up going too far and don't use it, you haven't got any benefit out of it at all. So there's got to risk a little bit to get something back, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the same goes true too, like when you're trying to maintain a good, fresh email database or
Yeah.
list. I was hesitating when I was telling people, you know, these people that don't open your emails for a long time, you might want to consider removing them. That's probably really hard to do for most people. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, you know, if they're sitting there and they're never going to open your email, it's just diluting your analytics. So you're not actually seeing the true picture of how, you know, your emails are performing. So sometimes it's just best to part ways.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Sometimes a smaller, well-engaged list is better than a really big list that's not doing anything, right? So, I think we've probably got time for one more question. I've got a great one here that's come through. What's considered a good open rate, or I suppose a good click-through rate? Yeah,
A good click-through rate.
yeah.
So I guess you could Google this and you'll find a gazillion different people telling you different things. And often the email platforms themselves will tell you, you know, inflated click-through and open rates because they want to make their platform look good. But I mean, I guess on an industry average, for your open rates probably around 20 to 40%. You know, so I think HubSpot said it was 37% was a good average open rate. But you know, it might be well above or below this depending on your industry. They claim that the construction industry, from memory, on their website, they said the construction industry gets something like 40%. I don't know why, but you know, so it can vary from industry to industry. And there are some really good lists. Actually, MailChimp, they have a list of industries and average open rates and click-through rates by industry. So you can actually look at your specific, you know, the one that relates to you. Click-through rates are usually around 2.5 to 5%. And again, that just really depends on the messaging and so forth, your content. And like you said, Jara, sometimes those plain personal emails, they can
Mhm.
be your open rate go up as well. So a lot of it has to do with the content as well.
Yeah, like I've seen some staggering results lately. One of our marketing specialists here in Tauranga has had with plain text emails, started trialing some of that just before Christmas, actually got a few out, and some of those open rates were just setting records. So yeah, the key really is, as I think you said, just test and then try again and test other things, and just don't be happy with what you've got, because there's this great opportunity, I suppose, to keep trying and keep building on the results that you get. So yeah, cool. I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. Thank you so much, Kim. That was awesome. So I've just got a little bit of detail here to wrap up with everybody. So let's just review what we've talked about today. So level 2 is offering a lot more opportunity for businesses to operate. However, the way businesses deliver their product and services often had to change a little bit. And sometimes that can be a bit awkward for people when they're trying to get out there and experience and buy from you again. So those businesses that have been able to adapt and implement online selling techniques are seeing some pretty incredible growth. I had a business-to-business customer that I met with earlier on this week who's gone from 3 orders a day through to 200 orders a day from their e-commerce site, and they're struggling to keep up because they had this tool available, and it's just awesome to see. So our prediction is this crisis has accelerated the uptake of digital selling tools. What we would have expected to see happen over the next 5 to 10 years has been something that's been forced on people to happen really, really quickly. And this is going to continue to be a key driver for businesses in the months and years to come. So the cornerstone, and our recommendation, I suppose, is that the cornerstone of any really successful digital strategy is a robust email marketing platform. So if you haven't started this, you really want to get started today by building that database and using that incredible opportunity. A little bit about Zeald. Zeald have been helping businesses transform digitally for about 20 years. COVID-19 has made the work that we do even more critical just because of that speed at which people are having to adopt digital technology. We see a real responsibility to help as many Kiwi businesses transform, adapt, and survive through this, and potentially thrive as well. And that is why we've launched our Get E-commerce movement, version 2. You may have heard about the first installment. We gave away 500 e-commerce websites. So we've actually got version 2 of this, where we're looking to give away up to 50 e-commerce sites a week. So if you want an free e-commerce site set up with a bunch of products loaded, we've also got a 0-rated hosting arrangement, which is no fee if there's no sale. Obviously, a 2% success fee as part of that. Then that could be right for you. So if you want to get yourself one of those sites, then all you have to do is go along to zeald.com and register your interest. We have templates built within the food and beverage, retail, medical supply verticals. Plus, we also have a new one coming for charities as well. So if you know anyone that has a charity and needs to take online donations, we're going to be able to help them with that, with a template through our Get E-commerce movement as well. Also, if you would like some expert digital advice on how you could maybe get started with email marketing, or how any other digital tools could be applied for your business, then please let us know that you'd like a session with one of our digital business strategists like Kim. You can do this in the feedback form that we will be sending out later on today. We really value your feedback, so when that does come through, please take the time to just give us a little bit of detail around what you like and what you don't like about the sessions that we've been having. It really does help us inform what we do going forward, and a lot of the topics have been picked based on what feedback we have received. Our next webinar is Wednesday, the 27th of May, and it covers Google My Business. This is one of my favorite tools, and one that I think is just the most underutilized out there, so I'm kind of a little bit passionate about it. So I'm going to be presenting that one. And so if you want to find out a little bit more about this key free tool, then join us next Wednesday. A special thanks once more to Kim, our guest speaker. We really value your insights and the time that you've put into sharing those with us today. That's all right. That is all the time we have for folks. If you know anyone that might benefit from attending these in the future, please feel free to share the register link. Wish you a good day and good luck.